Let's get this thing tilted properly. There we go. Looks like a plan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome to my lives. I tend to try to do these weekly lives every Thursday. They're not always done every Thursday. Last Thursday I had to cancel. But generally speaking, I try to do them every Thursday. And if you haven't already, drink your water today. I've put this live together today simply because I need to discuss domestic violence, and I have desires to go over an entire plethora of this entire subject, but unfortunately I haven't yet had the opportunity. I have an admission to make. Over the last couple of days, I have very struggled a great deal trying to put together a YouTube 30-minute video discussing domestic violence and the stats that many of the sisters have given me. The problem with that premises is it's emotional, and it has been very difficult for me as a man to face this problem that our sisters suffer across the British Muslim community. It is not something I can talk about easily because I feel helpless as a man in being able to actually solve these problems and solve the issues that are coming from them. And much of the issues that emanate from domestic violence are not something that men can do by themselves. It is not something that men can adapt by themselves, and men do not know how to resolve a lot of these problems by ourselves. Now, that's not me defending the domestic violence. Alhamdulillah, I'm just telling you from my personal experience, I don't know a road forward in how to fix this. But one thing I have noticed, and I'm going to say this on this live because I'm going to say it in my video, where are the likes of Muhammad Hijab? Where are the likes of Ali Dawah, Dawah Man, and all the other famous Dawah scene people when it comes towards our sisters and domestic violence? People who have better articulating skills than a grubby old historian like myself. Let's be fair, because that's what I am. You know, I live out in the countryside. So these men are far more articulate than I am, and they're not to be seen. They're nowhere to be seen when it comes towards this conversation. They don't want to discuss it because they know what it comes in onto. And you cannot discuss domestic violence inside of the British Muslim community without a conversation about honour killing and the honour system that has absolutely nothing to do with our deen. Nothing, nada, not a remote item towards our Islamic deen. So this is a profound and realistical position that we sit in when it comes towards domestic violence. In the space of the beginning part of this month, we lost a sister here in Britain, murdered by her husband. We lost another sister in Iran when her husband beheaded her. Astaghfirullah. So I'm going to have to put warnings on this when I actually put this up. This is going to have warnings. Like I'm not giving graphical details, but a sister was physically beheaded inside of Iran. Yeah. And her ex-husband was walking around with her head in his hands. So this is the type of barbarism that comes from honor killing. And there's no evidence of honor killing inside the Quran. There's no evidence of it. There's no defense towards these disgusting behaviors of murdering your spouse. It is undefensible inside the Islamic world. And I cannot grasp how men have been ignoring this indefinitely. I mean, and I do, and I'm not even ashamed to say I'm calling out people like Muhammad Hijab. Where the fuck are you? Let's be brutal. Where are you? Where are the big speakers on matters of DV and honour killing? Nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be discussing it. And I wouldn't even raise the subject because I'm a white revert and I feel a little bit under position to speak about the matters of domestic violence, not married. And more importantly, I don't know Muslim internal culture by itself that great well, but no one else is speaking about it. And that fucking irritates me. You know, that irritates me because there is no one else even talking about it. I haven't seen a single post from Brother Haj. I haven't seen a single post from Muhammad Hijab. I haven't seen a single post by Ali Dawah. Dawah Man hasn't said a damn word. There's not a word for Dawah Man. Everything's pinks and roses when Muslim men and women get married as far as he's concerned. That there are no backlashes, no issues, no unsubstantiable materials. The marriages don't break down. that divorce isn't at an all-time high here in the West. Wa alaikum salam. Always a pleasure to have everybody on my live. But the reality has not changed. None of these big speakers are even talking about it. They're not even willing to open the conversation. And when I'm trying to make a 30-minute video giving statistics towards our sisters in Islam and bring up the citations, I can't. I choke. I'm fucking losing my shit. I'm not even going to... I apologise for my language. I guess another bloody warning I'm going to have to put in the goddamn post when I post this later. Ooh, to be loud. Sorry about that. But do you understand what I'm saying? It is so difficult for a man to actually post this shit because of how much of a problem it is. Because it seems to be prolific, and male members of the Muslim community are not willing to even have the conversation. Every other brother I have raised this conversation with over the half of this week has tried to shut the conversation down or move it away. And I'm seeing a pattern that the British Muslim men do not want to discuss this subject. It is not a subject that they want to get onto. And it is the two bugbears in our Muslim community. They're massive, and they're the ones the West are prepared to actually throw at our face occasionally. So it's time that we actually started addressing them. And why am I the only male that I've seen online even willing to have a conversation about it? Wa alaikum salam. Everyone joining my live. So, I mean, why am I, me, a nobody historian, you know, a man with just a bachelor's degree in history, why am I the person talking about domestic violence in the Muslim community? Do you know, it boggles my fucking brain when there are people with 6, 7, 800,000 subscribers on their YouTube channels who deal with a plethora of political and social issues across the Muslim community of Britain, and yet the bugbear, the ogre in the room, you know, the Shrek of the room. I'm probably going to use that as my picture. The Shrek in the room is domestic violence. You know, and it has to be discussed by men. It's never going to be. You can't have this one echo chamber where women talk about this subject alone. It solves and grants nothing unless men actually enter the space and say, yes, this is a problem. How do we fix it? Because as I'm looking at these stats, I don't know how to fix these problems. I don't have a clue. I don't have a Scooby in how we fix these problems. I mean, that's the problem about being a historian and a bookish person. I don't know social engineering. I don't know social constructable problem solving. Honor killing should absolutely be made haram. Honor killing should be made absolutely haram. It should be declared from the loudest corners of every masjid from across the entire Muslim world, because there is nothing in the Quran or any hadith I've seen, legitimate hadith I've seen, that mentions that honor killing is justifiable. There's none. There's not a single one. And it's kind of terrifies me when we're having this conversation, and that it's a white Irishman. And I have to admit, this is a white Irishman having this conversation. Why am I talking about this? Where is the Muhammad Ijad? Where is the Ali Dawah? Where is the brother Hajj? And I like these brothers. I think they're articulated, intelligent, gifted brothers. These are not slurs. I'm asking why they haven't addressed these subjects. Why haven't they raised domestic violence amongst the marriage families? That's a wa alaikum salam, Joe. Why hasn't the big speakers in Speaker's Corner and all that lot haven't spoken about domestic violence? And if they get to see this video, excellent. And if they make a response to it, even better, because it will open up oxygen towards this conversation. Because amongst our Muslim sisters, this is the topic: domestic violence, honor killing. This is the topic that sisters talk about. But you never see it in the male space. It doesn't exist. And yet our imams, you occasionally see the occasional scholarly imam. I don't know their names, but I have seen one or two of them popping up as I've done searches on YouTube about domestic violence in Islam. And I've seen one or two of our British Muslims imams speaking. So there is, the clerics know it's a problem. But why is there none of the popular speakers talking about this? Or is this not trendy enough for them? I have to, take a take back and think to myself, are you really here for the Muslim community, or are you doing this for your own ego? I mean, that's really, maybe I'm being a cunt when I say that. Maybe I am. But I have to ask, where are they? Why haven't they turned up? Why haven't they spoken about this material? Why is it us? Why are we, a white Muslim who's been a revert less than 2 years, discussing domestic violence? I could not find even one video from Mohammed Hijab or one video from Brother Haj. And I mean, I'm not even going to discuss Dower Man. I'm sorry, the man lives in cuckoo land. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone who's joined my live. I'm not even going to discuss it about Dower Man because Dower Man lives in cuckoo land. You know, Muhammad Hijab, articulated, intelligent brother. Ali Dawah, articulated, intelligent brother. Yeah, Brother Haj, highly articulated and intelligent brother. Why have none of them discussed domestic violence in the male space? Yeah, fair point. Yeah, no, my swearing. But it's frustrating because I can't even use them as content points. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm out here on a limb. And being an analytical historian, I don't like doing things on my own back. Does that make sense? A bit of a social flaw from my point of view. I don't like actually just exposing myself too much without some kind of scholarly or intellectual support, because that's just not the way I was trained. You know, you don't make suppositions by yourself unless you've got some serious evidence. The problem being is in the male speaking sphere, I've got none. Do you understand? I've got no male supporting people talking about domestic violence in the British Muslim community, or talking about honour killing in the British community. You know, these conversations don't exist. The British male Muslim community do not want to have this conversation, it seems, because by pure exampleation of this, none of the established speakers, Muslim speakers, even want to talk about the subject. And I'm not some liberal. Let's get this clear. I am not some liberal, believe music is halal, any of that other stuff. I'm a normal Muslim man who follows the consensus of Islamic teachings. You know, what's the consensus? I'll follow that. What's the consensus? I follow that. A'udhu billah, I don't get why this subject has not been raised by other Muslim creators, content creators, YouTubers. I'm a little bit shocked that I haven't, maybe because I can't find it, but there's no conversation that I have been able to find yet of the big speakers in any way, shape or form. And I feel that it's unfair that the sisters have been left out on the limb on this indefinitely, unquestionably, with no revoboot or recitation, that they have been left to handle this horrific example of Islamic behaviour, and no male speaker has spoken about it. I don't even know what to say. The 2-year white revert is the one having this conversation. There's been four murdered sisters in the space of the last 2 months, and nobody, not a damn thing, has been said by people like Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawah, or any of that. Not a word. Maybe I haven't seen it. And if I haven't seen it, brothers, I humbly apologise. I profusely apologise if I haven't seen it. But I've looked and I haven't seen it. And there is no examples of the great Hijab talking about this. Or Ali Dawah. Or I don't even talk about Dawah Man, because the man lives in cuckoo land. You know? There's no point even trying to address him when it comes towards this conversation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All my brothers and sisters joining me. But there's nothing being said. And if there are content out there and I've missed it, I humbly apologise to the brothers that have made it. I really have. But the content from what I can search is not out there. And that is terrifying. We've had 4 sisters. Oh yeah, my apologies. I set a precedent, my brother, inshallah. Your intentions will gain traction, make more noise. I am trying, and every time I try to make my 30-minute video I've got for my YouTube, I can't. I break down. I'm in tears. The facts, the statistics, the material that's coming off the page, because I understand analytical history, I'm sat there, I'm like, why has no one spoken about this? Why has nobody spoken about this subject over the last 4 months? It's You're welcome, sister. Alhamdulillah. And my opinion about Dawah Man is not going to change, really, because he lives on another cloud. I don't mean the man any harm. I'm not have an issue with him on a theological point. I just feel that he doesn't live on planet Earth and doesn't deal with the real problems that we suffer here on this planet. Generally, I don't. I just think he's inside his dour zone bubble and loses himself. But back to the subject. There is no one else out there talking about domestic violence. And it's horrifying because I feel that our sisters have been left with no voice. That they are there giving. And every time a sister raises this subject, feminist, you're a feminist. No, they're not. They're concerned for their sisters' lives. Sister, again, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I can't work out why other Muslim YouTubers and content creators haven't spoken about this. And I'm not some kind of liberal. Most people who know me know I'm a deeply conservative Muslim man. I was a conservative Christian before I became Muslim. I'm not some kind of libertarian trying to hack onto the Islamic world. It's not my nature. But in 4 months, we have 4 sisters who have died at the hands of their partners or husbands, and not a single word from the large online creator community. And it's a discussion. Yeah, and in the British Ummah alone, I'm talking about the British Ummah alone, and no one's talking about it. And it boggles my mind. Assalamu alaikum, Anoya Frank. This is what I'm saying, sister, and people don't want to talk about it. There's no conversation about these guys. I'm talking about domestic violence, brother, inside the British Muslim community, and my frustrations at the lack of other YouTubers, other content creators discussing it. And it boggles my brain that no one wants to discuss this subject. It's like I know as a man I'm painting a target on myself. I'm stepping on a landmine, but I've got an F-bomb for that. You know, I don't care, because we've lost too many sisters at this point that people are unwilling to fix this problem. That something has to be done. That something has to be discussed. And I'm not qualified to fix this. Sisters, please let me forgive me on this. I don't know how to solve these problems. I genuinely don't. But I'm willing to make enough noise about it. But this is the point, sister. They don't want to discuss it. Our brothers don't even want to discuss it. I think he's a solid human being and thinks very, very highly of the Western world and wants to revive Western culture. It's incumbent. You see, I don't have, Zako, I don't have the ability to solve this by myself. Oh, absolutely. Muslims in France are also in a terrible position. I haven't even started talking about that, but everyone covers that. Do you know what I'm saying? There are other platforms covering that. No one in the British Ummah, as far as I can tell, are even discussing domestic violence. There's nothing from Muhammad Hijab. There's nothing from Ali Dawah. Dawah man is in cuckoo land. He's not even paying attention to what it means to be part of the Muslim world. It's terrifying from my point of view that there are no one else talking about it. There's no one else talking about it. None, nada, nowhere to be seen. Everybody out there, it is such a lack. And Sister Lily, I must apologize to you, because the last 3 days I've been trying to do that 30-minute video I said that I've told you and the other sisters I was going to do, the statistics. I'm breaking down in tears. I can't even look at this stuff. I'm in floods of tears. Me, a full-grown 40-year-old man. I'm looking at this stuff and I can't even handle it. I'm looking at these statistics. I'm looking at these quotations, and I'm like, even if I only believe 10% of the West because I know they can lie about us, it brings me to the conclusion that even if there's only 10% of what's being reported, there is innumerous problems with domestic violence in the British Muslim community. Innumerous problems. It is vast, and it's about time the men of this actually need to speak about it. You know, because who is? And I don't want to be the one doing it. I'm going to be honest with you, sisters. Alhamdulillah. And I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because there's no one else. If not me, who? There's no other male fucking content creator, excuse my language, There's no other male content creator who's even trying to address this subject. I'll have a look at that book, sister. Alhamdulillah. Oh no, absolutely. I know they want to swipe it under the carpet. I know they want to swipe it under the carpet. And I can see they want to swipe it under the carpet, but I'm not going to allow it anymore because this needs to be discussed. This and honor killing need to be pulled out into the open, and it needs to be assessed, and it needs to be discussed, and people need to have a conversation about it, because they're not willing to actually have a conversation, and I am not willing as a historian. Eric Zenemore, I don't know. Don't know the name off by the top of my heart. So I apologize. I'm a very bookish person, so if it's in the local in the news, I probably don't know it. It's because I spend most of my time reading. So, in essence, this conversation has got me vexed because I see the statistics. I've seen what the UN has put. I've seen what the British statistics are. And again, brothers and sisters, if I look up Dower Man, you'll know Dower. Just type Dower Man in YouTube engine. You'll know who Dower Man is. Put the words together. Put the words together, and basically put it on put it online, and you'll see it. But it's I don't know who that gentleman was. British secularism is less interested in the world around them. If you're not interfering with their money, they don't care. Where French secularism is a nationalistical form of secularism. Currently, the British secularistical world is not interested in me, you, the Jews, the Muslims, the Christians, and everyone else. As long as you're not interfering with their running of their cash, they don't care what you're doing. And again, the subject has to have a conversation, and this is where we fail to have this conversation. Ben, welcome to my live, brother. Alhamdulillah, and it's a pleasure to have you. I'm discussing domestic abuse in the British Muslim community and how it has no one talking about it. Ben, I know this is a big ask of you, brother, and I know you have a bigger platform. I beg you to talk about this subject. I beg you, I swear to Allah, I beg you to fucking speak about this subject, because it is horrific levels of data coming through. The research I've done over the last 3 days, Ben, the data on domestic abuse is so large, and massive YouTube platformers do not discuss it. It's not even on the conversation platform. I can't find any from Mohammed Hijab. I can't find any from Dower Man or anyone else. It is a one subject, and I don't want to be the man out here by myself. And I'm not looking for fame or fortune on this. I don't care. I'm not even interested in this. I want the message to go out, and I don't care who carries it. Do you know what I'm saying, brother? Because in my opinion, I'm out here by myself sticking my neck out, and I want my brothers to actually do it as well, because I think very highly of Mohammed Hijab. Shamsi, I'm not overly a fan of. Ali Dawah, I have mixed feelings about. I hope so. We're not even talking about change. That's the problem, brother. The conversation about change in the Muslim community isn't even being had when it comes to domestic violence. The conversation is not even being spoken about. Thank you, brother. It's just because I don't know a vast amount about it either, but it's because there is no male space in it whatsoever. So even if you go off and actually do a little bit of your own research and such, right, it's just because so many men do not discuss it. You know, they're not willing to even discuss the conversation. So I find it difficult to have this conversation because I'm so unknowledgeable about it, and I don't pretend to be. You know, that's what I'm saying. Absolutely. If the imams see this, if some of the younger brothers pass this to imams and they see a white historian, scholarly pursued individual talking about it, they might actually start doing something about it. And that's the important thing that we have to do about. One who do domestic violence should be punished. Absolutely, they should be punished. Absolutely, completely. Order billah, without a shadow of a doubt. The imams tell sisters to have sapar. You see, and so this is why this conversation needs to be brought out to the open. This is where the conversation needs to be brought. This is why more Muslim male content creators need to make noise about it. The conversation needs to be had. Exactly. It has broken families. It's taking lives. 4 sisters in the space of 3 months have died to my knowledge that I've been brought aware of by sisters. And it's terrifying because I didn't even know this was a problem. I'm the white guy who honestly had no idea. Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong to tell them to have sahab. You should be protecting you and your children. Yes, he is. And I'm a great follower of his. I love Paul Williams, the blogging theologist. Think very highly of my brother. But domestic violence is a massive problem in the British Muslim community. And the British Muslim community does not need feminists to bring the subject up. We need to bring it up. I don't know how this conversation needs to be addressed, but it has to be addressed. We have to take the horns of this. We can't let feminists dictate the dialogue of this conversation for us. We need to take hold of our own responsibilities of our own community, and we need to correct it in the hegemonous kind of way we do. And it's terrifying that I'm the only man that I've seen that's overly speaking about the subject. Yeah, that's the whole point. Why do you have mixed feelings about Ali Dawah? Because he does have some rather extreme views about what makes a kafir. He thinks people can automatically be kafir just because they're gay. And I've seen the gay video about him. And so, like I said, I have mixed feelings. I still think he's an honest and upstanding brother who's trying to spread the dawah, but he has some views that don't genuinely sit very well with me, simply because I feel that when people are talking about kafir, they're too quick to call people, you're a kafir, you're a kafir. Do you know what I'm saying, brother? I have a problem, brother and sisters. I have a problem with people saying, that's a kafir, that's a kafir. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm more being defensive about that. And Ali Dawah, in his early years, not so more recently, but in his early years, he was very quick to discuss. His dawah work is beautiful. I'm not discussing his dawah work, but the way I don't know about hijab's controversy in India. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it. Again, I haven't been on the YouTube page that much. I've been doing quite a bit of reading and a considerable amount of research, so I haven't actually seen it. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I didn't even know it was that much of a problem in our sister's sphere until I was brought aware of it. Do you understand? So I'm not defending the brothers who do know about it, but the brothers who don't, just like me, I didn't know that this was a problem. And the fact that I didn't know it was a problem until it was brought to my awareness, and I'm like, how common is this? When I saw this conversation, I was talking to some sisters, and they said, pretty common. I went, you're playing with words. They went, no, pretty common. No, I completely get that, sister. Alhamdulillah. And you're welcome on my pages, here or on my TikTok. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's about time men step up and actually start talking about this. I think this needs to be discussed in an Islamic manner, and it needs and that and honor killing have to be talked about. We have to start sticking our teeth into this subject. And again, sister, take the time necessary to heal. Take the time necessary to heal about it. Alhamdulillah. But people need to realize that this conversation now needs to be pulled out into the open. We need to speak about it. We need to openly address this situation. We need to spend time not only healing our sisters and the children. I don't think people realize that domestic violence has a knock-on effect on children. When a father beats his wife in front of his children see that as being okay. And a vicious cycle continues. And we have to actually break that cycle. These conversations have to be had. That it's not okay to brush this under the fucking carpet. And I know I've been swearing quite a bit on this, and I apologize to everyone. It's a conversation that people are not willing to have. And from an academical point of view, terrified to stick my neck out on this. Sisters, I'll be honest, I'm only doing it because I was asked to, because the sisters feel that there aren't enough brothers talking about it. And you know what I'm saying, brother? I don't have a particular issue with Ali Dawah. I have a particular issue with some of the things Ali Dawah said. So as I said, I'm a little bit iffy with him. But most of the time, I'm generally quite pleased with his Dawah scene. Him and Hijab are generally a great mix. And I think Muhammad Hijab has had a positive impact on Ali Dawah, especially from his early years. I've got no time for Dawah, man. No, absolutely, sisters and brothers. The conversation needs to be had. It needs to be had. No matter how difficult it is for me to have this conversation, it needs to be said. Yeah, but of course, absolutely. The physical and emotional abuse is unreal, and the fact that the imams are telling people to have sahab is unreal. It's unfucking real when they should be the clerics actually dealing with the issues. So there is a great deal of culture that is mixed up. I don't know the hijab controversy in India. I haven't seen it. In general honesty, I haven't seen any of it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone joining my live. So, like I said, I haven't seen any other. Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying. He promised in the niqab. If you've gone to the effort of promising yourself in the niqab, before, fear Allah. These men do not fear Allah because they know their culture will protect them. And that is the most terrifying point of view. And maybe from that, I'm going to alienate myself from some of these cultural groups. Wallahi, go ahead. I'm not naming any particular culture group, regardless that I know who the worst statistic people are. From the analytical, what I've done, I've seen who is the worst abusers in the UK, because there are statistics for that. And it's quite frightening and quite eye-opening towards it. And I don't want to discuss it. I want to address it as a larger ummah problem, a larger Muslim problem, so we can get this conversation into the open. Because the problem we're having currently, brothers and sisters, the problem we're having is the conversation is not in the open. Okay, we can get to the nitty-gritty parts. We can get to the spiritual abuse, to the physical abuse. We can get to the conversations about everything else. What we're missing is getting it in the open. I'm going to wrap myself some David and Goliath chains around this problem, pull it out into the daylight. Wallahi, it has to be pulled out, because otherwise we're fucked. You know? Because whilst it's continually brushed under the carpet, whilst it's being continuously being ignored, whilst we're not even addressing the subject. We're not addressing all the excellent points you sisters and brothers have made in my comment section. All of the excellent points, not even being made. Oud billah. So they have been discussed. So why haven't they been discussed openly? Why do so many of my sisters, why have I got over 25 sisters in my comment sections telling me it's not being discussed? Yeah, no, someone said something about hijab. I don't know. The hijab. The hijab. The headscarf stuff in India. Yeah, it is controversially damaging. I thought you said Muhammad hijab. That's what I thought. You know, misusing the Quran in multiple occasions. The realities that we are sitting in, if these conversations have been held in Islamic streams, why are they not out in the public eye? Why are so many sisters talking to me, a historian, who has no counselling skills whatsoever to address the subject? Like, I'm getting sisters thanking me that I'm even trying to tackle this subject. And it's... Yeah, no, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised, sister, if you did, because I've yet to see any imams speaking about it. Yeah, it's banned in one of the schools. Yeah, no, I know of that. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Muhammad hijab. I was like, I haven't seen that video, so I tend to be more careful about those conversations. The imams never do an entire qiyab of speaking about domestic abuse. They should. They should. This is a conversation that should be raised. Alhamdulillah. I mean, sisters, I apologize for even dragging this out in the open for many of you who are having this conversation. And I realize it's not easy to talk about. And many of you are going to be emotionally quite strung up about it. And I know it's going to be something that's going to hurt you, but the conversation needs to be brought into the light, and men need to see it. And to my other sisters, share it with your male friends, share it with your male followers, your male families, all your social medias. If that's what it's got to be done, I don't want that kind of publicity, but if it has to be done, do it. Yeah? Take the opportunity to have this conversation, because we need to expose it. It needs to be discussed. And I'm so glad Ben Icarus came on, because he's such an excellent brother. And he's a big YouTuber from my point of view. I think he's got more than 100,000 followers, so subscribers, not followers. So him coming to see this has been a blessing from Allah. It's been an absolute blessing for Allah, because he will be able to get the message out further. He may go looking at it. He will look at the stream and then build a consensus for himself of what he's willing to touch. Because if Ben does that, my job is done. Absolutely. And they don't follow the Sunnah. And every time you mention about them following the Sunnah, they get angry. The Quran and the Sunnah should be the guidance for all men. Oh, absolutely. Completely. I completely and utterly agree with that. One of the main reasons new Muslim sisters leave the religion in spiritual abuse, either by their husbands or just random Muslims. Absolutely. And again, this is a thing with revert sisters. And I get it. It's all about having the hijab on, blah, 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 etc., etc. But the domestic violence is completely non-existent. It's in no sphere is it discussed. And I was terrified to put this live out, because I've tried 3 times. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I tried to put together a 30-minute video discussing the statistics of the domestic abuse in the UK as a historian, as you've all factually seen some of my videos do. I can't. I'm in floods of tears. I get about 10 minutes in and I'm crying like a baby, because I know how incredibly horrifying this shit is. It's to the point that I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to write it down in a 10-minute video and have it scroll past the video stats, statistics, and then have me voice over some of it. Because at this point, I don't know if I can get through because I've got the material to do a 30-minute video. I've got the material to do a 30-minute video, but I don't have the mental fortitude to do a 30-minute video because of the graphic and vile details about it. Like I said, no one would do, brother. No one would do, Frank, because the British Muslim community brushes it under the carpet. Yeah, no, again, sister, that's the small percentage that's been reported. Again, I completely agree with you. It's a small percentage of what is being reported. And there is mountains of it. Wallahi, there is huge amounts of it. I've gone through 10 pages in 3 days. Not just from the women's rights activists of the UK. I'm talking about 2 female Muslim community groups have given statistics. The British Crimes and Police Reportings have given statistics. Domestic Abuse UK has given statistics. It's insane. There's 10 pages of the stuff. And no one wants to even discuss the matter. And I'm terrified of this fact. I'm like, how has heavily articulated, intelligent men like Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawah, I still consider these men incredibly gifted and intelligent men, have not spoken about it? Sister, again, alhamdulillah, I completely understand that. And I empathise with any of my sisters who have difficulty discussing it. But yeah, again, I'm not generalising at any one country. I don't want to generalise about any one country or any one ethnic group, because I feel that would be, then they would retaliate. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a disgusting human being and should be prosecuted in America. About Prince Andrew. That's my fundamental end conversation about the man. He is the P word, which I don't particularly want to use on a live. He's the P word. Okay, and he should be prosecuted as a P word. But because he's got money, he's not going to be prosecuted. 12 million to dodge it. Disgusting. Took me to come here to the USA to not be discriminated against. Well, I'm glad you managed to find your peace, sister. Alhamdulillah. But in essence, this conversation, as brutal and savage as it has been, is emotionally draining, and men need to address it. Yeah, no. This is the point, and it's not a liberal opinion. I'm no fucking liberalist. I think most people who know me know I'm not a liberalist. I can't stand liberals and feminists. I make jokes about them. So I don't know how this is a liberal or feministical point of view. And some of the sisters I've got in my comment section right now, like my beautiful sister Bint Arik, is incredibly conservative. She's more conservative than me. Blood money, upholding Sharia when it suits them. I mean, I can't believe that people would sit there and call these sisters liberals or feminists. My beautiful sister Bint Erik is more conservative than me. You know, I would be okay if my daughter left the house without a hijab on. I would counsel her, but I'd be okay with it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm sure my sister Bint Erik would probably give her daughter an ear lashing over that kind of conversation. I'm not that heavy conservative. I will have the conversation. I will have that kind of thing. But the idea that we are liberals for wanting to discuss this subject is absolutely crazy. Yeah, absolutely, brother. Do you have me on Instagram so I can give you the links? Add me on Instagram. I don't know how anyone can call you a feminist, sister. I don't even grasp how someone could call you a feminist. Feminism is somewhere over there in the stratosphere compared to you and the sisters who are behind me are even more conservative. Fathers abusing to mothers. No, they think this stuff is okay. They think it's normal. They think it's entirely normal, and it is a terrifying position to be in. It is an absolutely ridiculously terrifying position to be in for all of my sisters. And I feel terrified that I've had to bring this out. Not for my own safety. It would be like, I don't care about that. Terrified that I'm making ground on this conversation, that this conversation has to be addressed. And if, by whatever means, Mohammed Hijab actually sees this video, alhamdulillah, and feels chastised by it, it's not my intention to insult any of my brothers. It is merely my intention for them to grasp the reality that this conversation has to be had in the sphere. Divorce is a valid opinion before violent abuse language begins. Absolutely. Absolutely. You see the idea that anybody who would be in my chats who circulates around me as sisters would be a feminist is absurd. Because if there were any true feminists, they would be deeply offended by me, because I hold some very conservative views. I fundamentally believe in the social model that a man should work himself into the grave so his wife and children are provided for, and that the wife can stay at home with the kids and homeschool the children and do her side businesses and that lot. And I fundamentally believe that. And that can be nothing but conservative. I'm sorry to say, that can't be anything but conservative. So if you take my core belief that I need to work as hard as humanly possible so that my sister and wife in Islam can homeschool and educate my children, I should unquestionably be, out a shadow of a doubt, able to give her the life that she needs. Yeah, it is shame. I'm pretty sure shame has something to do about the conversation, sister. I'm absolutely sure that shame has a conversation about. There is the financial abuse as well. No, I'm not defending that, sister. Again, and I understand the terrifying reality that is, but I feel that the idea that a man should provide everything and his wife should then make the money that she wants to make. Yeah, exactly. We are the slaves to Allah. Thank you, sister. We are the slaves to Allah. We are fundamentally his property. We are owned by him. Everything belongs to him. And these brothers forget this. These brothers regularly forget this. Absolutely. We are. Physical abuse is a waste of time when you can have a long conversation. When you start treating your children, when they're articulated enough to understand language and linguistics, and if they are learning the beautiful language like Arabic, a far more complex language than English, that articulates their brain stems already and stimulates their minds to be able to understand. You don't need physical abuse when you can have an adult conversation with them. That is a tall order, Sister Fahad. That is incredibly. Yeah, no, no. And again, Sister, I'm absolutely fine with you. What was that? There we are. Certainly, the man provides is correct. Families make sure girls get an education predicting financial abuse. No, completely, Sister. Alhamdulillah. I completely agree with you on that subject. Without any shadow of a doubt. And some of the points you sisters have made are fantastic. They're absolutely amazing. No, because I'm on a live, Joe. Not on a live on my YouTube. Stuff for a while. I have some twisted liberal jokes. No, 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 no. Not on a live talking about domestic violence. I appreciate the show, but no. This is for my sisters to discuss domestic abuse. Sorry to laugh, sisters, about a very serious subject that we're trying to get onto, but yeah, no, that would not be healthy. That content is for TikTok. Absolutely. This is serious conversation time, not TikTok time. Yeah, feminists are crazy. Feminists are absolutely crazy. Special course so that they know who exactly. Are you on Clubhouse? What is Clubhouse? Forgive me for I'm a bookworm, so if there's some technical device, I probably don't know it. No, spanking is one thing when you're trying to protect them from doing dangerous things. Like if my child refused to pay attention to go towards a fire, I would slap their legs so they understand that pain comes towards going near fireplaces, open fire pits, or something actually physically dangerous, so that they're aware pain comes from danger. Because the lesser pain transmits to them that that's actually physically dangerous. That's different, and that's just a gentle slap on the legs. But it'll get the registration of their mind that going near that will get them hurt. Whereas that should be realistically about as far as you go with it. Audio only social media, like being on a live radio. No, I don't have Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a social media platform like YouTube, but only audio, not video. So we can only hear the person. Oh, okay. Alhamdulillah. But as I'm trying to explain, as we try to keep us on track, because I haven't got much long left, because unfortunately I have got to go out at 3:00. The social engineerable structure of the British Muslim community means that we have to actually address this problem. We have to give the sisters the space necessary. Men have to step up and say something. And as terrifying as it is for me to do this, as no other man inside the social community bubble are prepared to do it, I will do it. I will be there. I will open the door. I will do this because it has to be done. Domestic violence cannot be allowed to continue like in its current form. We must struggle. We must fight. We must deal with these issues, even if I'm ostracised from it. I mean, to be fair, I can't be that more ostracised. I live so far away in the countryside that my Muslim community is online. No, like I said, I don't agree with the belt, but I do agree with is spanking a child to keep them away from physical danger, things that will physically harm them. Everything else you can discuss. You can stop them. You can talk to them. You can hug them. You can bring them back to a conscious understanding where their pain and mind settles in. But domestic abuse is something that needs to be addressed across the entire Muslim spectrum, both in the UK, which I live in, and elsewhere. And these problems are unavoidable, relatively speaking. And whether people like that or not, Sister, I would probably disagree when it involves things like, as I said, direct fire and danger, going near live wires. A gentle slap on the legs after you've told them 2 or 3 times not to go near it. If you're in an environment where that is exposed, those are the examples I'm giving. And that should be the only reason, realistically speaking, when you're trying to stop the child from actually killing itself or harming itself because you're its guardian. Does that make sense? I'm not advocating the use of abuse. Please don't assume I am. I'm saying that spanking a child to stop them from hurting or killing themselves, I would consider that to be more of an acceptable behaviour. And that should be the only time it should be there. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm at no point justifying any other normal domestic abuse. They're not washing their dishes. They're not cleaning their rooms. They're not obeying their parents. None of that else requires physically endangering themselves because of an open fire pit or something like that. That is the only reason that requires you to be quickly and get them away. I'm not in circumstance. There is a spiritual manipulation as well to avoid calling police or involving any other authorities. Realistically, people should. In my advice on this, if you feel that you are trapped and any sister you give advice, call the police. Realistically, as bad as that is towards the family cohesion and unit, do it. Because at that point, any chance that you could get harmed goes down. What's my views on Daniel Harkawil? I don't know, Fahid. As I said, I'm very bookish, so I don't necessarily know who you're talking about. Alhamdulillah. Exactly. Better life, gain Jannah, not dunya. Completely. It has been a emotional 50 minutes. But I am, because I have got to go out and it is coming up to 3 o'clock. That's good. Alhamdulillah, sister, that's good. It is. It has been a pleasure having you, sisters and brothers who have joined. It's been emotionally draining. Yeah, that too. But we need to show them that they can speak up. We need to show them, brothers and sisters, they can speak up. And unfortunately, I have to skedoodle. I think that's a good idea. I think I will try to connect with him through either YouTube or Instagram. I will mention it on the YouTube. It will. Oh, I was talking to the sister. My apologies. Again, it was my pleasure to help as any way I can. This is only the first. The sister, alhamdulillah, I will happily promote that book and help you promote it. Alhamdulillah, anything that addresses this subject needs to be addressed. Anything that gets this message out needs to be addressed. Oh, also contact the 3 Muslims. Thank you. The 3 Muslims, Brother Paul. Thank you for the advice, brother. I feel that this conversation needs to be brought out there. And I would feel honoured if they took the baton. Alhamdulillah, it's been a pleasure having everyone. Thank you all for your time, and I deeply appreciate what you've done for this hour live. Short of an hour. Unfortunately, because it's getting on to 3 o'clock, I have got to go because I have to step outside the house after my prayers. It's been a pleasure. Alhamdulillah.